They're just picking people up they assume to be troublemakers, and just by virtue of the way that they look.
Hi everyone, it's Sailesh Ram, AsianCultureVulture.com. How are you doing? Thanks for joining me. We're in Venice still with Tatiana Rosenstein, now talking to the British director Imran Perretta about his debut feature made by BBC Films. It's called Ish, and it's about two young boys being stopped and searched by the police in Luton. So let's go and find out more about this film. Just had its world premiere.
Can you tell me more about this stop and search activities, because I'm not familiar with that? And so can you please tell me what is happening there in this area and why it's...
So Luton is a very watched town. The police have a real presence in Luton, as they do in a lot of places that have big international communities, multicultural communities. And stop and search is a power that the police have to stop anyone in the street if they deem them to have done something wrong or to be engaged in criminal activity. The problem is that they use those powers against young people and against people who actually haven't done anything wrong. So stop and search historically has been a very blunt tool to try and counter a very specific problem. And what it has done is traumatized a lot of young people, myself included. It feels very violating to be suspected of having done wrong, and it feels even more so to have been taken off the street and interrogated and then expected to live your life in a normal way again straight afterwards.
When they stop and search, what they're looking for? For example, by young kids?
Well,
are they looking for some weapons? Are they looking...
That's what they say they're looking. They're sick. But a lot of the time what they're doing is just racial profiling. They're just picking people up they assume to be troublemakers, and just by virtue of the way that they look. And most of the time they're kids that have done nothing wrong. And what it does is it traumatizes those young people, and it makes them it's the beginning of alienation, you know.
I tried to read about this location area you chosen for the film. It seems not to be far from London. But how did you relate to the community, or have you been related to the town of Luton?
So I have a relationship to the town through my extended family because my wife is from there. But also I have a relationship to the community because I'm someone of Bangladeshi heritage, and Luton has a very big Bangladeshi community. So the first time I went there, it felt like home. And I've been going there for a long time, and it made sense to me to write something about it.
I read also that originally you want to make it a story, coming of age story, but it somehow happened to have this political angle, I guess. But I wonder about your own coming of age story. So how this story was, developing, were you affected by the Satan? Yeah, and makes
so it's the work is semi-autobiographical. So a lot of the things that happened to those boys, including the loss in Ish's family, all of that comes from my own life. The things that I experienced as a young person. So it's very close to my youth. So much of what happened in the film.
But to be honest, when I watched this film, I was very curious about relationship between grandmother and the grandson.
Yes.
It was more about resistance and rebellion.
All approaches are valid in my opinion. I think what's important is to show the way in which people exist, come together, pray, and to do that with care and with dignity, to show that there are different approaches to building community and to building by a sense of self, whether it's through faith or whether it's through friendship. All of those options are valid, and all of those things together are how you build community,
So how easy or difficult was work with kids? It was your first feature, right? So you did shorts before, and so how was it with the kids? These great words. So were there too?
They're those boys, I was once like them. So for me, it was very easy to identify with them, and I hope it was easy for them to identify with me. And so in the end, it was it was just about having lots of fun. We're making a film about things like heartbreak, but also about this political sort of dimension that can be quite traumatic and quite serious. And actually, we had so much fun making a film. It was a total joy working with those boys. They're unbelievably talented. They're, especially having never acted before, people are so surprised to hear that. And it's because of how talented they are. And so for me, it was just a joy, I just stood back and I let them be themselves. And that is how the film came about. That is the truth.
Because they were friends, I feel.
They're friends.
They were casted in the real. Yeah.
Yeah. And, and we didn't know that till the very end of the casting process, that they were actually real life friends. But, we only, it was a type of joy. They say you should never work with kids or animals, this thing they say.
Kids are animals, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Not money.
But I absolutely love to work with those boys. They're young men, really. I shouldn't sort of infantilize them. They're young men and they've grown so much. They choose so much. And it is a genuine privilege to have been part of their story.